What's up guys, welcome to another Call of Duty video on the channel. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be covering the beginner's guide to Warzone. This is pretty much going to cover all the basics. So you guys who have just got your new consoles or just downloaded Warzone for the first time, and this video is for you. I'm going to cover everything you need to know, all the basics and some advanced tips as well. But bear in mind, I am a small channel, so if you have any questions regarding Warzone at all, then just leave it down below. I have a lot of experience with the game, so yeah, I'm pretty sure I can answer any of your questions. So starting off, we're going to talk about the contracts that are in the game. Since its release, contracts have been added and removed from Warzone, so I'm going to give you a brief description of what each one does and how you can benefit from it. The most useful one I find is the scavenger contract. It looks like a magnifying glass and there's many around the map. This is a task that makes you open free chests in random locations within kind of a 1 to 100 meter area of your location. Not only do you get pretty good chest loot, after the final chest you get an armor satchel which allows you to instantly get and carry 8 shields. Along with the money you collect from the chests, you and your team will get a pretty large sum of money from completing it. Perfect for quick starts, but you should be aware that it's a very sought after contract, so land on ones that are pretty far away because a lot of people are going to go to the ones that are near the drop zone. So yeah, they're quite competitive at the start of the game, but if you see one later on in the game, definitely do them. They're really good. A really good way to earn money. The next contract is the recon contract. It looks like a flag, and once you've started it, it gives you a location within about 150 meters of the area you are already in. So once you get to this location, you have to defend the area for about 15 seconds, and the more teammates that are on it, the faster you capture it. But you have to be aware that the enemies nearby will be notified of your actions by a bright yellow flare that will appear straight above you in the sky as soon as you start to capture it. In return for doing this, you'll get a little bit of loot and a small payout, but above all, you'll get a better understanding of where the next circle will be. The more recons you capture, the more borders you will be able to pre-see. Very good for new players who want to hide in the circle until the final circle appears. Next up is the time trial contract. They look like a stopwatch on the minimap, and this contract's particularly good for quads. Once you've started it, you have 2 minutes to go to a shop that has been marked in yellow. Often it's very far away. Getting one at the start of the game is very useful if the shop is kind of in a central location inside a circle. Once you've arrived at the shop, you'll be able to see that prices are lowered for that specific shop one time, and you can get a free self-revive if you. It's really good for solos, the self-revive. However, you can also get a free buyback of a teammate. So if one of your players on your team get this yellow shop, it'll be available for the entire team to use at any time throughout the game, as long as it's inside of the circle. So if your team gets wiped out completely and there's only one player that makes it out of the gulag, they can land on that gold shop that you got earlier, or yellow shop, and then they can buy one of their team members back for free, and then they can kind of chain that. They can keep coming back and buy everyone back until everyone has been returned, and it costs nothing because you've done that already, and it's a really good safety net for players if you're playing quads, trios, or even duos. But yeah, in solos I'd recommend just getting a self-revive because probably the best thing to get, as it is free. Another way to get your team back without lagging around after money is the most wanted contract. It looks a bit like a crown, and again it's more useful for quads when your team has been eliminated and you've got no yellow shop to go to. So land on one of these fellas and you'll be marked as a target. Everyone on the minimap or the map in general can see your location, and they get a good amount of money for killing you. So the best way to go about it is getting a truck or a helicopter and just keep moving. Stay away from enemies at any kind of given chance. Once you've survived the 3 minutes that you have, your entire team will come back from the dead or be revived if they've been down, and your whole team will earn a decent amount of cash as well. Another good way to use this is early on in the game. Get one and go to the top of a tall building with kind of 1 or 2 entrances. No one will really challenge you at the start of the game because they won't really have the guns. They won't want to challenge their loadouts, so it's pretty much a guaranteed bit of cash to start the game off with. But yeah, this contract is a very high risk, high reward kind of contract. Finally, there is the bounty contract. It's better for more experienced players. This contract marks someone on the minimap in a bright yellow symbol, kind of a circle. If you kill that player that is marked, you and your team will get a pretty good cash reward. However, if you are kind of in one of the smaller circles and you're just short of buying someone back or buying a self-revive, you're just a little bit short of the money. You can get one of these bounties in the hopes that someone else kills your bounty for you, and you still get paid regardless. So, you know, it's a good backup just in case you desperately need money. Just put one of these on if you've got nothing to lose and hope that someone kills your bounty. Then you get a bit of cash to buy your players back or buy a self-revive, which is quite a cool, nifty little thing. And that is all of the main contracts you will see in Warzone. However, there is one secret contract that no one really talks about. It's very rare, probably 1 in 50 games, maybe if you're lucky, and it gives you a huge payout for doing it and a free weapon blueprint, which is a useful thing to have if you don't have many guns unlocked, which you won't at the start of the game if you're a new player. This contract's called a contraband. You must deliver a bag of money to a drop zone on the map. These areas are often full of enemies and in awkward locations, so you know it's a very difficult thing to do, but if you can pull it off, you get a load of money. So again, yeah, like the bounty, it is a high risk, high reward thing. Along with the king, they're quite similar. Now, before I finish up talking about contracts, it's important to bear in mind that the more contracts you do in a game, the better the payouts will be. They increase by a certain percent each time, up to 40%. So, you know, if you complete one contract, say a scavenger, and then you do a bounty, that bounty is going to pay out about 40% more than it originally would. But again, the percentages vary on how many contracts you have done already. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing to do if you want to chain up and earn a lot of XP and a lot of money. Just do lots of different contracts, and you'll set yourself up really well to start off a game of Warzone. Now I've finished rambling on about contracts for the last 5 minutes. It's time to talk about a huge thing that you probably already have, but if you don't, then you definitely need to have it. These are custom loadouts, and they're crucial in Warzone. Not only does it give you a huge advantage in the firepower department, it also gives you something you can't necessarily pick up off the floor, which is perks. Now I'm going to go and show you 2 class setups for beginners. You can get these classes by leveling up the specific gun in multiplayer, such as Modern Warfare. But if you don't have multiplayer, then don't worry, use the guns in Plunder, which is a free Warzone mode where you can respawn constantly, so you can get a lot of kills and do a lot of contracts with no setbacks or pressure, which both give you a huge amount of weapon XP and casual XP anyway. And if you add a weapon XP token, which you can find in the main menu, then your gun will be leveled up in no time. So the classes I've chosen as the best starter classes are going to be the Kilo. Starting off, this is because the Kilo is one of the first guns you unlock, perhaps the first gun you unlock, and the attachments I would go for that you should definitely try and unlock. The first one is kind of the most complicated. It's going to be the monolithic suppressor. It's the last one of the lot. But apart from that, you want to go for the Singard Arms 19.8 inch Prowler, which you unlock fairly early on. Very good range on that. Then you want to go for the VLK Optic. This gun helps with controlling recoil, which will be a very good thing for new players who will struggle with that. Along with the Commando foregrip, you unlock that straight away, and it's really helpful with recoil control. And then you go with the 60 round mags. You can go with a 50 if you want, but I prefer the 60, especially if you're a new player, because you will be missing some of your shots because you're not too used to the mechanics. So the 60 kind of reassures you that you'll be able to finish an enemy off with one clip. The secondary weapon I have gone for is the RPG. This is because I have transferred my lethal from a Claymore, from a C4 to a Claymore, and the RPG gives you that potential to kill trucks that might try and run you over, or if you're really just desperate for a kill and someone's rushing you, maybe you run out of ammo. An RPG is almost a guaranteed kill if you get them at close range. So yeah, it's a very effective tool for starter people, and it's not really hard to use at all. The perks, like I was talking about earlier, are very crucial. The ones we've gone for here is EOD. So if you didn't have these perks, you wouldn't be able to have the same kind of playstyle as you would want to. This EOD stops you taking as much damage from C4s or Semtexes or frag grenades, which is really useful because loads of people use C4s on Cold War and Warzone and Modern Warfare. Perk 2 is going to be Ghost, one of the most overpowered and most important perks you can get in the game. Ghost makes you undetectable by UAVs, radar drones and heartbeat sensors. Everyone uses heartbeat sensors in this game, and the best players use UAVs that go and hunt for players, so you know, to be hidden off of both of them is very important, especially if you're kind of playing passive and hiding and want to camp out in an area. Which leads me on to my next perk, which is Shrapnel, perk 3. This gives you a second piece of lethal equipment. So this one has Claymores as my lethal instead of C4s, because if you are starting off and you want to kind of avoid all these players who have been playing so long and are very good at killing people, then you want to be able to lock down an area, and a Claymore can do that very well. You know, if they're on a staircase or on a ladder, you can have them covered with a Claymore, and if an enemy walks into it, then you know they're on their way and you know where to expect them. Or if they shoot it out, then you're going to be ready and prepared for them. So a Claymore is quite a good piece of kit, and I used that when I was starting off, and yeah, I found it very good. The final thing is a heartbeat sensor, like I was told in the Ghost. You know, a lot of people don't use Ghost nowadays because they think it's not very useful, because they've just got good enough to not use it. But a heartbeat sensor is really good. It will show you where an enemy is within a 50-meter location, so you can expect an enemy, say if they're on the right hand side of the heartbeat, you can expect them coming from the right, and you know, you can either avoid players by doing this or hunt players down by doing this. But if you're a bit better at the game, then you can use a stun grenade. So if someone does try and push you, then you can stun them and you'll pretty much get an easy kill. And then pretty much the only thing that changes here is the gun, and the only kind of attachment that changes is Tempest Marksman, because that is the longest barrel for the M13. This gun you unlock a little bit later on, but again, the fire rate on this gun is very forgiving, so you will be able to hit a lot of your shots, and the accuracy on this gun is incredibly accurate, just like the Kilo. 2 accurate guns with pretty high fire rates, with 60 round mags, so you know, very good for starter players. It's going to make sure you hit your shots and you've got plenty of bullets to do so, and all the perks and other stuff is the same. So the way you can get these custom guns is by either saving up 10,000 coins and buying it from a shop, from a loadout drop from a shop, which is the safest option really, or you can go and find your free loadout that lands next to an enemy team's loadout about 12 seconds before the second border shift. So that's definitely going to be a bit more of a risky option because there's going to be 2 teams competing for it. So I definitely always try to get the 10k one from the shop. But this then leads me to the next thing you should study, which is the shop. Having a good knowledge of the shop is a great tool to have. So you can look on the screen. Here is a shop, and you can see the prices for normal Warzone. So starting off, an armor plate bundle gives you 5 pieces of armor. Pretty simple. A gas mask keeps you alive in the gas for around about 8 seconds. Although it has a fucking horrendous animation included. But you know, it's pretty good in the final circle. You know, when you don't want to go out in the open, you can stay in the gas for a while. And then pick some people off whilst in the gas without dying straight away. It saved me many times. A cluster strike sends around 6 to 8 missiles, I suppose, directly above. So it fires down from above directly to wherever you mark. A great way to kill rooftop campers. Say there's a team on the glass building in downtown and you can't get them off, or they're just pinning you down. You can put a cluster strike on them. They'll all run inside, and then that'll give you some cover. And maybe it'll down a couple of them or team wipe them. The same goes for precision airstrikes. They pretty much do the same thing. I think they do a little bit more damage. However, they come in from an angle. So they're not as good for rooftop campers, but a bit better for open play. Say someone's in the trees or something. It has a wider spread and it does a bit more damage. Next up is the UAV. This shows everyone on the map who doesn't use the ghost perk, like I talked about earlier. Oh shit.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna go on the rooftop and lay down.
Look how many people aren't running ghosts. This is the most I've ever seen.
It's starting to be this way now. Maybe it's new players.
I prefer not running ghost. No, I prefer running ghost.
And if you call in 3 UAVs at one time, maybe there is a fire sale, which I'll get into later. You can see everyone on the map no matter what, and you can see which way they're facing, which is really overpowered. But it's very rare that you can have 12 grand just to spend at that point in the game. They only last a few seconds, but they give you a pretty good idea of where the enemies are. Next up is the self-revive. It costs 4,000 coins. It pretty much means if you die, you won't immediately go to the gulag. You'll have a chance to heal yourself unless someone kills you whilst you're down. But you pretty much press triangle and you can revive yourself. It takes a couple of seconds, but it's not too long. It's very good in solos when you have no teammates to revive you, and if you're pinned down by an enemy team and your teammates can't revive you in quads or something, you know, a self-revive can get you out of a couple of sticky situations. If you're low on ammo, the munitions box will resupply you and your team of the ammo that you need. An example, if you have an assault rifle and a pistol, it will only give you AR and pistol ammo, but it will fully replenish it to the maximum amount you can carry. The armor box works the same way. It'll resupply you of the armor you can carry, so either the 5 or the 8 from the satchel. And then obviously the loadout drop we just talked about is 10k to get your classes and perks. Also note that there is a second free loadout around about 45 seconds before the 5th border, which means if you don't have your loadout late game, there's still a chance to quickly grab one and grab ghost, so you're hidden off the minimap. Next up is on the list is going to be the settings, the in-game settings. This is something you should definitely not underestimate. So let's go through my settings. They're very important. So this is mainly going to be for controller players. If you go into the controller settings here, starting off, I play on default. However, tactical is supposedly the best for you because it gives you the most capabilities with the controller. So if you're brand new at the game, maybe you want to try starting off as tactical. A lot of professionals would suggest to do that. I've always just played on default, so I'm going to stick to it anyway. And then I leave everything on default. The dead zone, it pretty much means if you're not playing and your controller starts looking left or right, it means your dead zone is too low, so you want to put that all the way up to 10. Mine's just fine on 6. Then stick sensitivity, I have mine on 6.6. You always want this number to be the same. I'm pretty sure 6 is pretty good for Warzone because it's not too slow that you're not going to be able to turn around and fight people, but it's not too high that your accuracy is going to go down. So I'd say stay on 5.5 or 6.6, pretty good. And then you want to go for a 0.85 ADS sensitivity multiplier. Pretty much means when you look down sight with a scope, it's going to zoom in a little bit more, and it's going to be easier to hit them shots. And then leave this one on 1. Aim response curve type, depends how good you are at the game. A lot of people use dynamic, not many people use linear, and I just use standard at the moment. Controller vibration, you want to turn that off. It will just distract you in gunfights, so yeah, turn that off completely. Aim assist, I keep mine on standard, but obviously you can have it on disabled, but I wouldn't recommend that. Precision, strong aim, slowdown, that only kicks in when aiming closer to targets. Better for accurate players or focusing. If you're new to the game, you probably want to start using focusing. Helps you out a lot with your aiming. Weapon and mount activation, I keep down ADS and melee. Weapon mount movement exit, I use enabled. Aim down sight behavior, I have used hold. Equipment behavior is also hold. This is quite an important one. Contextual tap. It just means instead of holding down square, you can just tap it, and it's a lot faster and it saves you a lot of time. Just got a Snapchat, lovely. Depleted ammo weapon switch is on enabled. Armor plate behavior is apply 1. If you put on apply all, it will probably get you killed. Slide behavior is on tap. This saves me a lot of time. Instead of holding down, just like reloading, you press tap and your player will slide. It's a lot quicker and it'll save you a couple of milliseconds. And milliseconds really do add up in this game. And this is all on disabled. Vehicle camera recenter, it's up to you. I keep mine on enabled. Parachute redeploy, you definitely want that on enabled. Maybe if you've gone AFK when you're starting a game and you're landing, this just means it will deploy a parachute rather than you breaking your legs on the floor before you even get to the controller. Next up is your general settings. You can either have mouse or keyboard or controller, even on console. I keep my brightness on 50. Obviously just do what it says. Not visible, barely visible, and easily visible. Safe area, that's up to you. Try and keep it well within your screen size. Film grain, you want that on 0, because if you put that up too high, your screen's going to look a bit ugly and you're not going to be able to see enemies as well. Tooltips, I have that on disabled. Subtitles, have enabled. I don't mind seeing that. That sometimes gives you a call out that you might have missed or not heard. I have my language in English. Colorblind, I have this on here so I'm not really that colorblind, I'm a little bit, but this just helps your colors be a bit more vibrant and you can spot red dots on a minimap and stuff a little bit easier. It's a small but slightly effective thing, and I have mine on both. You can have it on anything. Well, motion blur, this is a key one to have on disabled. If your screen is blurry whilst you're turning, you might miss an enemy, so definitely have that off. Same with weapon blur, you might have a player who's below your gun or something if you're up high, and you might miss them, so yeah, definitely have that disabled. Minimap, another big one, square. You get to see about 20% more of the map when yours is square, so definitely do that. Minimap rotation enabled. Compass, have it on numbers, because you can give your teammates a direct number of where enemies are. Instead of saying, oh, they're just west, they won't actually know where west is. So you say they're 270, they'll have a much better understanding of where that is. Text chat enabled, profanity filter disabled, and yeah, that is pretty much it. Then we go into the audio. I have mine on boost high. It helps you hear enemy footsteps. If you're not using a headset, then definitely buy one. Even if it's a cheap one, they make such a difference. If you're not even using any headsets, then you're about 20% less likely to win a game. Probably even more than that, to be honest. You want your volume high as you can. Music pretty much off. Dialogue volume doesn't really matter. Effects, you want that on 100%. That's pretty much footsteps or helicopters or anything sort of like that. Juggernaut music, you want disabled. Hit marker, whatever your choice is. Voice chat, is pretty much just if you're playing with your teammates, you can have it on enabled. If your microphone's broken or it's making a buzzy noise, you can always add that threshold up a bit higher. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the audio settings and for the settings in general. Crossplay, I pretty much have mine off on disabled because I don't want to come up against PC players, because they tend to have better and easier play styles because they can move faster and they have better accuracy and they have less recoil, because if you're a good PC player, a mouse and a keyboard is much more effective and efficient than a controller. Next up, I'll tell you about the vehicles in the game. The quad bike has the least health out of the lot and the least cover, but it is the most manoeuvrable and it only allows 2 passengers, although I'm pretty sure you can jump on top of it with the other 2 players. You may fall off, but usually it works. Then buggies, again, has poor cover, a little bit more health than the quad bike, but these can carry 4 players. The car is almost the same, but with a bit more health and cover. And then there's the truck. You can only have 1 player inside of it, but 3 players can jump on the back without falling off. Has really poor turning, but really good health. It's pretty much, I think all vehicles are the same speed. But yeah, the truck is definitely the best when doing the most wanted contracts. To add a huge layer of protection to these vehicles, you can throw a trophy system found around the map onto one of these, including our final vehicle, the helicopter. Capable of carrying 4 players with a decent health, is pretty much the single most effective way to travel around the map. I use it all the time. It's one of my favourite things to do. And I would also include the train, as it is a vehicle, I guess, in some ways. This contains several orange crates. If you didn't know, orange crates give you the best loot, such as kill streaks, gas masks and satchels. Blue chests have a lesser chance of doing that. So yeah, if you find an orange chest, you're most likely going to get better stuff out of it. The underground trains, you may be thinking about whatever they are, just don't go near them. Maybe if you're trapped and it's your only option, then yeah, go for it. But usually, just no, don't touch it. Considering I just talked about a trophy system, I will let you know about what these things are, these special items. A trophy system placed either on the ground or on a vehicle will stop about 5 explosions from hitting you or your vehicle. Pretty much if someone throws a C4 at you or an RPG bullet or a lock-on missile bullet at you, it will stop that, and what it does is it fires an explosive at the explosive and just catches it and stops it from killing you. I don't think these exist in real life, but they definitely exist in this game. It looks pretty much like a tripod. Then if you've ever seen the ammo belt looking one, it's called stopping power rounds. These greatly increase your damage and bullet velocity. So if you find one of these on the floor, definitely chuck on your gun. It will increase the damage by quite a lot. Then there is dead silence. It looks like a ninja mask. This makes you move faster and your footsteps silent. And if you kill someone whilst using it, then yeah, it will refresh. Because there is a timer on all of these things. You can't just use them non-stop. And then finally there is the drone looking one. You can fly it around and spot potential enemies while staying hidden. It's pretty much like a local UAV. As this video is getting on, I have pretty much covered all the basics. I'll let you know a brief rundown and of pretty much the most simple but effective way of playing and getting wins on this game. So this play style pretty much goes for everything except from solos. We'll talk about that one later. But you want to pretty much go on the edge of the map. Where there is the circle, you want to go away from the circle. Somewhere where there's a helicopter, perhaps. The helicopter spawns on dam, it spawns in military base, it spawns in prison. It spawns near docks and near the hills as well. There is helicopters on all these places. So if one of them places is on the outside of the circle, you definitely want to go there and grab a helicopter. Then you want to land on a place that's not populated. There isn't many enemies there at all. And you want to complete a contract or something to get you that 10k to get a loadout drop. Once you've got a loadout drop outside of the circle, the gas will start to come in. So you want to get on your helicopter and pretty much you want to go central. Maybe you've done a recon and you know where the best central location is. Just go to wherever you think the center of the map is going to finish and kind of post up inside of a building. It means you'll avoid all contact with enemies and you won't have to run through the entire map because you'll just fly there and you can post up ready and just pick people off whilst they try to come over and attack you. It's a lot easier to defend than it is to attack on this game. That has got me and my friends a lot of wins playing that way. However, on solos I don't believe you can use helicopters, so it's pretty much going to be the same scenario, just this time get in a car with a trophy system on it. And you want to go central. You definitely want ghost if you're playing solo as well. 100% you need to have that. But yeah, just land far away, come inside to the center and post yourself up and try and wait around the middle of the map and just keep recentering yourself to the middle. You want to go early as possible because you don't want to get caught out with about 5 teams doing the same thing as you, running before the gas gets you. So you want to go early and position yourself up. So hopefully any of these tips have helped you out. This has been quite a long video. If you do have any questions that I haven't covered, I will reply to you in the comments. I'm a small channel so I can do that kind of thing. I made a 35-minute video on tips and tricks on how to improve on the game and just how to be better and get more kills. But yeah, that's pretty much the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this and learned something from this. Leave a like down below if you did. If you want to subscribe you can, you don't have to, but that would be amazing. You'd really be supporting a small channel, so that'd be awesome of you. But yeah, I make quite a lot of videos like this. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you have a great day and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace.